Hello friends and welcome back. My name is Deepa from Designs by D, and today I want to welcome you to the Altenew July 2023 release video hop. Now I'm so honored to be a part of this hop this month, and I really do hope that what I create today inspires you. Now as always, Altenew is giving away $300 in total prizes. To celebrate the release, they're giving away a $100 gift certificate to one grand prize winner and four $50 gift certificates. So please do leave a comment on the Altenew video, my video, and please like and subscribe to all of the talented designers on the hop for more chances to win. Now, these are the products that I'm going to be using today. As you can see, these are from the release. I am focusing on the sketched florals stamp set here. And I'm going to be using the coordinating dies that you can buy that come along with that. I've also got the floral diamond blocks embossing folder and versatile greetings too. These are great because they are nice large sentiments, and they also have a shadow die to go with them. So let's go ahead and get started. First of all, I'm taking that sketched florals stamp set, and like with every set, they have like a guide on the inside for how to stamp out everything, along with a few sample ideas. So I'm just going to go ahead and do some simple stamping with my acrylic blocks. I've got a bunch of colors that I've picked out here. I like to pick out a color scheme ahead of time so that I know that my colors are going to work well together. I'll usually just look something up on the internet and say, color schemes, and then I'll pick a color scheme that I like, and then I'll match the colors to my color swatches for all of my Altenew inks that I have. Now, when I'm doing my stamping, part of the reason why I love this set is that it's one of those whimsical sets, meaning that you don't have to stamp everything out perfectly. The solid portions or the layers of the stamp sort of just fit nicely into the outline stamps, and they don't fit perfectly, so you could kind of stamp them more to the left, to the right, however you want, and get a different look each time you stamp. And I love sets like this because, first of all, they're easier to use. You don't have to worry about lining everything up. Second of all, it takes way less time. As you can see, I'm just using my acrylic blocks. I don't have to line everything up too much. And then it makes for easier and faster cards. So as you can see here, I'm just stamping out all of the outlines. I've got maybe a couple of one of the flowers and then the leaf fronds. Now I'm showing you here that these are new sets, and you probably know about this. You can use the Altenew eraser. There's an eraser for conditioning your stamps before you use them, or you can use a Tombow Mono sand eraser. I find it kind of creates a bit of texture on the top of that stamp so that the ink sticks to it a little better. Another way to do that is to maybe just condition the stamps with some Versamark watermark ink, or just a clear ink that's going to just kind of make the stamp a little sticky, so that ink just evenly distributes on that stamp the first time you use it. Now, after you've used the stamp a few times, as you may know, it kind of evens out by itself, so you don't have to worry too much after you've used the stamp set the first time. So as you can see, I'm taking my inks and I'm just kind of stamping these out haphazardly. It's just really simple and easy to do. And you don't worry too much if, say, maybe you stamped a little bit too outside of the outline. Even when you do die cut it, it's really not going to be that noticeable because of the nature of the stamp set. Now, the colors that I've chosen to work with today are some pinks, yellow, and greens. So the pinks are my larger flowers, and I've chosen to use pink diamond, blush, and rouge. And then for the smaller flowers that come with the set, I'm going to be using honey drizzle. And then for the actual leaf or frond portion, I'm using fern forest and eucalyptus. Now, there was a release of a bunch of inks that was released with all of these beautiful sets this month. So you could also venture into those colors and see what you get by mixing those colors together and using them for your cards. So you can see how easily these are stamping out here. You can tell like there's portions of my stamps, they're not completely stamped out. As I said, this is the look I'm going for. I want it to have that kind of sketchy look, as they are called sketch florals. Now, once I'm done stamping out the larger florals and the leaves, I'm going to move on to the smaller flowers. And I'd say maybe this is the hardest part of the stamp set. Because they are smaller, you do kind of have to turn your acrylic block around a little just to get them to line up more nicely It's a little harder to kind of see exactly where it goes, but you'll see that there are portions of the flowers that kind of are more rounded or stick out more, or there's more spaces between the petals, and this is how you know where to actually stamp it down. And I'm going to be honest with you here. Even if you say chose the wrong stamp to go with the wrong outline, I don't really think anyone would notice. It's, as I said, it's got that sketchy, whimsical look. No one's going to know. So don't worry about that too much. So there are also the center portions of the florals, the smaller little bits here. I don't always stamp these out, but I did this time. Sometimes I just kind of use uh, alcohol marker or something. I'll use jewels or gems to kind of fill those in. But today I felt that I'd add the right color to the flower. So now I'm grabbing my coordinating dies, and these really come in handy for stamping, for cutting these out. I like the nice white border that it gives it, but I mean, you don't always have to use a coordinating dies. There was a time where I used to fussy cut everything, but I do have to admit it makes life much easier. So I can cut a whole bunch of these at once. And you can see it comes out nicely, especially with that nice white border. You can see on that smaller yellow flower, there's like a portion of it that doesn't fully line up. So that's what I'm talking about. You're not really going to notice that too much because there are white portions within the stamp. So I'm using a smaller die cutting machine to cut these out, and that's simply because my die cutting machine is much larger and this is just easier for me. So I've taken all of my little florals, I've put it in a little bowl and set it aside. Okay, so we can move on to the background of our card here. I'm using that floral diamond blocks embossing folder. I've got an A2 size piece of blush cardstock, and I just added a little spritz of water to that just to help it really take the shape of that embossing folder, and you can see how stunning this is. And you could use it on the front side or the back side. Either one, it looks gorgeous. So before I go ahead and use it, I'm cutting it down a little bit. So instead of being 5.5 by 4.25, I'm going to 5.25 by 4 inches, just to give me a bit of a border around the edge. And then I'm also going to cut it on the diagonal because I only want a portion of this showing. So as you can see here, we get like 1/2 or maybe like 2/3 of that panel. And when I do a technique like this where I'm using an extra piece in the background, I really like to give it a finished look, and I find by adding just a little piece of a specialty cardstock like the strip that I'm adding here really just gives it that professional look. So I'm adding some black glitter cardstock, just a little strip there along the edge, and then I'll just cut off any overhanging bits. Now I found that my tape wasn't completely holding it there, so I just added some washi to the back to make sure it's fully adhered. So I'll cut off the overhanging bits, and you can see how nicely it looks on the card base. Now to add it, I want to add a bit of dimension here. Now I'm the type of person who does a lot of paper piecing. I know I'm new to the lineup here for Altenew, but I do a lot of paper piecing work for other companies, and so I thought I'd bring that to the table here. So I just added some craft foam to the back there. I just cut it down by hand, and I'm just adding it with my foam tape here just to give this some dimension. So this background is really going to pop on this card. You've not only got the dimension in the folder, which was added to the paper, but you've also got that craft foam that's popping it up on the card base. Now for my sentiment, I've grabbed one of the sub-sentiments from the same Sketch Floral stamp set, and now I'm going to the Versatile Greetings and grabbing the Hope die. Now as I said, there is a shadow die for this, but I'm just going to use the main die for the word Hope. Now to tie this into the rest of the card, I used that same black glitter cardstock again, and I'm just kind of playing around with it here. You could put the sentiment there horizontally. You could put it diagonally with the way that we've cut that embossing folder panel. Or if you wanted, you could put the sub-sentiment on the top, put it on the bottom. I mean, there's so many different ways that you could place the sentiment and make different looks for your cards. You could probably take this design and make a whole set of cards and just alternate or change the way that you place the sentiment, or maybe instead of cutting on a diagonal, you cut the embossing folder panel on a vertical or a horizontal. I mean, the possibilities are endless. And as I mentioned, since the sketch floral set is just so easy to stamp out and cut out, it really is perfect for cards made for mass production. Like this seems like a little bit more labor intensive, but I think if you did it, everything kind of at once, like cut all the flowers, did all the backgrounds, and did all the sentiments at once, it wouldn't take that long. So now that I haven't stuck down my sentiment or stamped out the sub sentiment at all. I've just kind of positioned it there to see where it's going to show up on that white portion of the card. And I'm now doing some flower arrangement, as I like to call it. So I'm just arranging all of my floral die cuts and I'm adhering them down. Now you'll see some of them I'm kind of just sticking down with the tape runner. And the main flowers, I'm propping those up with some foam squares just to add even more dimension. It just makes those center flowers on your bouquet just stand out a bit more. So now that I've got the larger florals and branches on there, you can see that I have my main cluster in the center of the flowers, and then I've kind of stuck the branches in diagonally along the cut of that embossing folder panel, and that was intentionally done so that, it kind of flows with the rest of the card. Now, when you look at this color scheme, our background is muted, the larger florals and the leaves are muted, but those little flowers are nice pops of yellow, and that's just what really makes this color scheme and this card stand out, that pop of color. So I've added, I think I added 5 of them. I cut out 6, but an odd number is usually best, so I've added 5 of those small little flowers. And you can see I've also put one down on that white area. So what this does is it's drawing your eye from that bouquet on that join between the embossing folder and the white down towards the sentiment. And I always like to add some portion of my design like this so that it's kind of like telling a story. So you see the embossing, you see the flowers, and then you come down to your sentiment. So I've just kind of stuck the hope down in place there using my magnets, and I'm using some pink pearl to stamp this out. Now I'm realizing that it's just a little too light, so I'm actually going to go back with the fern forest. And that green just really made that sentiment stand out just much better, and it looks much better with the card. So I often do this. I'll start off with a lighter color, and if I think it works, I'll go with it. Otherwise, I'll just restamp it another color, and that's where a stamping tool comes in handy. Please forgive me, I didn't have the Altenew stamp wheel when I made this video. I do have it now, and it will be in the rest of my videos because I think the stamp wheel is amazing. Okay, so I've just added some small strips of foam adhesive to the hope sentiment and stuck that on there, give that a bit of dimension too. And now I'm just adding a bunch of clear iridescent drops to this card just to give it a bit of shine and a little bit of pizzazz. Now, one of the things I like to do when I'm adding embellishments is I have a random group of embellishments around my florals or my die cuts, and then I'll have like a strip of either 2 or 3 smaller gems near the sentiment. I don't always do this, but I find that it gives it a nice little look. And that's my card for today. So I hope that you've been inspired to create something similar yourself. Please don't forget to like and subscribe if you like this video, and please do like and subscribe to the rest of the talented designers on the hop. There is a link to the Altenew store in the description below and to this specific release, so you can go ahead and check those out there. And don't forget to comment on each of these videos, including the Altenew video at the beginning of this hop, to be entered to win one of those prizes or gift certificates to the Altenew store. I hope you guys have a great day, and I hope to see you guys again next time. Bye.